right now at 7.
Breaking news, police releasing a bombshell a short time ago in the investigation into the death of an East Bay man who died while in police custody.
Tonight, 3 Bay Area counties have entered a new tier, but are they reopening too quickly?
The CDC is calling out cities and states that are easing up on these safety mandates. Your response?
And why some believe the growing recall effort is forcing the governor to hit the road.
Visits like this are just political theater and damage control.
I think he wisely is not paying too much attention to it.
So we're happy to have the world's best experts guiding us.
And the 49ers forming a new team tonight, not on the field, but in the COVID battle behind the scenes.
But first, that breaking news and the bombshell report out of the East Bay. Antioch police say their officers did not kneel on the neck of a man who became unresponsive after being handcuffed. 30-year-old Angelo Quinto later died at the hospital. The story made nationwide headlines. Police say Quinto's sister called 911 in December. She told the dispatcher that her brother was being aggressive towards her and her mother. When police arrived, they put Quinto into handcuffs as he lay on the floor.
At one point during the handcuffing, an officer did briefly, for a few seconds, have a knee across a portion of Angelo's shoulder blade.
Police say that move is something taught and approved by California police academies. They also say a medical examination of Quinto's body did not show any fractures to his head, neck, or the rest of his body. And according to their attorney, Angelo's family is still questioning if police used excessive force on their son. We'll have much more on this coming up tonight at 11 o'clock.
Also right now on the KPIX 5 News at 7 and streaming on CBS and Bay Area, San Francisco, Santa Clara, and Napa counties are now back in the red tier. But tonight, is San Francisco moving too quickly? The CDC says yes. So what do city leaders say? Good evening, I'm Ken Bastida.
And I'm Elizabeth Cook. KPIX 5's Kenny Choi asked the mayor directly a little while ago.
The concern from health officials is a potential surge. The director of the CDC is warning states not to ease up on restrictions, fearing that gains could be wiped out. We asked the mayor about that today, if this is the right time to roll back.
Well, I like seeing all the people out and about.
More mingling, tables full, all things look to be moving in the direction of back to normal.
I feel like it's a different era. I feel like it's going to be good this time.
The recent health metrics in San Francisco have allowed the county to move into a less restrictive tier. But nationwide, the clear downward trajectory in case rates and COVID deaths for weeks is now plateauing, prompting the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to issue a warning. The CDC is calling out cities and states that are easing up on these safety mandates. Your response?
My response is that all of you know San Francisco was the first major city to shut down. And we've been extremely conservative about every decision we make.
Nationally, as you have seen, cases have started to rise slightly over the last couple of days. So this is why we need to continue to double down on those prevention measures.
Scientists say one of the COVID-19 variants, B.1.1.7, is about 50% more transmissible.
There is a growing presence of more variants in our region.
Outdoor gatherings can continue past 10 p.m. Indoor dining begins tomorrow, limiting tables to one household with a maximum of 4 people.
A lot of the stress is at a mental level. Are we going to get out of this? Can we make it through it? You know, do we deplete our own family's savings? I mean, this is the level of stress.
We have to balance the risk of reopening with where we are with the fact that, you know, we've been in this for over a year.
The main difference between outdoor dining and indoor is it's a maximum of 6 people and up to 3 households. We asked restaurateurs and employees what their main concern is. They're asking people to mask up each time the server approaches their table. In San Francisco, Kenny Choi, KPIX 5.
All right, let's go down to San Jose right now. Santa Clara County is also advancing to the red tier beginning tomorrow. You can eat out or work out indoors or go to a museum. Restaurants in San Jose are getting ready. The county says it's now hitting its stride in vaccination efforts and is asking everyone for a few more months of patience.
I feel like, yes, I feel like people are starting to be back happy. Things are starting to get a little bit back to normal. So, yes, I mean, it's exciting. Everybody seems to be excited to be out here.
Yeah, we've been through a lot over the past year, especially owning a restaurant.
The governor is back at the state capitol in Sacramento this evening after stopping in Palo Alto earlier today. The governor has been taking road trips up and down the state these last 2 weeks, pushing people to get vaccines and pushing schools to get kids back into class. But some believe Newsom has been pushing to reopen schools more lately to help fend off the growing recall movement against him. Earlier, his challenger, John Cox, made that assumption on Twitter earlier. He said, quote, thanking Gavin Newsom for actions he's taken since the recall became real is like thanking the guy that punched you in the face and broke your nose for driving you to the hospital, end quote. We asked the governor about that tweet.
Visits like this are just political theater and damage control.
Well, I think the 2.3% positivity rate has driven these decisions.
I think he wisely is not paying too much attention to it.
We stream the governor's press conference live on CBS Bay Area, where you can watch the news anytime. Just head to KPIX.com.
Well, remember when fans were allowed to watch the 49er games in person? KPIX 5's Andrea Borba does. She's here now with the big step the team took today to make sure that fans make a return this year. Andrea?
Well, Ken, it seems like a very long time ago that fans were allowed inside Levi's Stadium. In fact, it was an entire season without fans. Now the 49ers say they are coming up with a plan, getting the best minds they can to get people back inside this year as the vaccination rollout continues. After more than a year, could 49ers fans be back inside Levi's Stadium for preseason football? The organization has assembled a team of epidemiologists to guide them through the process of bringing the faithful back.
We owe it to our fans and our employees to make sure that, when they walk into this building, and I hope that's August and September, to large numbers, that they feel safe.
Options could include decentralizing food service and even using TSA expediting company Clear to help screen folks at the door.
We think about Clear as, what you might do in an airport, but they're working on right now technology to be able to distinguish whether or not you have had a vaccine. And if you haven't, maybe you go get testing.
UCSF epidemiologist Dr. George Rutherford says those options could work.
You need to give yourself the best shot that people coming through the door are not infectious, which means either screening them or insisting that they be vaccinated, or both.
Even Santa Clara County administration seems agreeable to the idea of reopening the venue, a strikingly different tone than when the 49ers had to move to Arizona this winter.
We look forward to seeing the protocols that they put together. We'll see how, of course, the pandemic continues to evolve.
Nearby businesses like Pizza My Heart, hit hard by no fans, can't wait.
It's going to be massive to have Levi's reopen, have the Niners back, have the concerts back open, have Great America going again. It's such a huge part of the business here, and then just the overall morale for our staff and the crew.
Now, Al Guido, the president of the 49ers, said 97% of season ticket holders have renewed their option for this coming season. But in a survey, they all want answers exactly how things are going to work, how they will be kept safe. And he says he's looking to build consumer health confidence in getting back inside Levi's and cheering on the 49ers in person, and not just from that new dip on our sofa from where we've been sitting the entire time, Ken and Elizabeth.
So many unanswered questions that people want to know about sports, about food, about dining out, about life in general. Andrea, thank you.
Well, as restrictions start to ease, traffic is picking back up, and that's driving gas prices up to meet the demand. Gas is only a little cheaper right now than before the pandemic. Industry analysts estimate in the darkest days, demand for gas was down nearly 60%, and the price plummeted down to $2.70 on average in California last April.
I just don't understand how the gas can go up and people ain't got no money.
6 months ago, it was definitely lighter in traffic. Now we see a lot more traffic now, but when it's usually around 2 or 3, like I say, university can get a little bit, kind of neck to neck.
Coming up next, wild scene in the South Bay when a suspect hijacks a city bus.
Plus, the new promise from the White House, the speedy new timeline the president just set to get every adult in the U.S. vaccinated.
And a final decision on when to open a popular hiking spot in the Bay Area. It's about to happen any minute.
I think it would be a good recreational activity for people for it to be open, at least like maybe to some extent to the public.
But obviously, with the water conditions right now, it's looking pretty dire.
Plus another underwhelming Sierra snow survey, and the Bay Area Water District talking right now about possible restrictions.
Some good news in that regard. We are tracking rain chances in the forecast, the first of which is going to move in Friday night, and more rain chances early next week. We'll track them all with Futurecast. We'll look at what's going to happen before the rain moves in coming up.
This man faces charges tonight for allegedly hijacking a VTA bus in Santa Clara. Investigators say Jonathan Clemson got erratic while on board this morning. The driver had to get out to call 911, and that's when Clemson allegedly jumped into the driver's seat and took off for a couple of miles. Clemson eventually tried to get out and run, but was eventually caught. One passenger on board suffered minor injuries.
Well, the results of the latest Sierra snow survey are in, and they're just as underwhelming as you might expect. The snowpack is about 61% of what it should be for this date, and state water managers say, barring a March miracle, we could be looking at mandatory restrictions in some places this summer.
In fact, the North Marin Water District is meeting right now to discuss conservation measures and could end up declaring a water shortage emergency. In the meantime, it's buying a backup supply from the Russian River and encouraging customers to cut waste.
Well, we're going to be running into a drought, and a lot of people are going to be tearing out their lawns. So they're going to be using rock and turf and all of that.
We're hoping that we'll get some rainfall there in March, but obviously, with the water conditions right now, it's looking pretty dire.
Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan is alongside. Paul, we were talking about this a little bit off the air. This is, it's not great news, but it's not horrible news.
Right. For the snowpack, I mean, think of where we'd be without that one atmospheric river in late January. Those numbers would be half of what they currently are. Around the Bay Area, we're running at about 35 to 40% of where we should be to this point in the rainy season. But think of where these numbers would be without that atmospheric river in late January. And we're not done with the rain chances yet. March is far from our rainiest month, but typically we do see these systems moving in, and you can hold out hope for that March miracle. But what we are going to be tracking is some showers moving in by Friday night. This isn't going to amount to anything torrential. This is going to be the kind of rain that we like to see, where it adds up to a quarter inch to a half inch, but it's not enough to cause any problems for the wildfire burn scars. This is going to move through quickly. It doesn't move in until after sunset Friday evening. It moves out by the time the sun comes up Saturday morning. So we're just going to leave that 30% shower chance in the forecast just to be on the safe side the first half of Saturday. The second half of the weekend looks dry. Any outdoor activities on Sunday, go ahead with those. We'll keep an eye on things just in case something unexpected happens. But the next round of rain looks likely to move in as we head towards midday in the afternoon hours on Monday. And there's yet another chance of rain that's going to be heading our way on Tuesday. This forecast model thinks it's going to move in Tuesday night into early Wednesday. There are others that try to move it in during the daylight hours on Tuesday. So that could still go either way. It's still a week out. But you add up all these rain chances, and on the low end, we're talking about 1/3 of an inch of rain. It's not a whole lot, but it helps. On the high end, over an inch of rain, especially as you head farther north into the North Bay. We'll keep you updated, and again, we'll pin down the timing and the amounts that we expect as we get closer to those rain chances moving in. And the high Sierra, you add up all of our rain chances, they'll fall as snow, 2 to 3 feet of additional snow as we head through the first couple days of next week, and they will definitely take that. Right now, it's nice outside. Some cloud cover overhead, but that's keeping temperatures from dropping off too fast. Mostly in the 50s, even 60 degrees still at this point in Concord. And temperatures will only back down into the 40s by early tomorrow morning, except in Santa Rosa, where you will briefly drop down to 39 degrees. But 40s for starting point tomorrow, with afternoon high temperatures pretty close to what's normal for this time of year. A couple degrees below average for San Francisco and along the coast, mid to upper 50s there. But otherwise, low to mid 60s, some spots even climbing to the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. I think 70 for eastern Contra Costa and Solano counties going to be the warm spots on the map tomorrow. Not much change to temperatures as we head through the rest of the work week. Again, the best chance of rain falls overnight Friday night. We dry out for the second half of the weekend. with more rain chances Monday and Tuesday, and probably even into Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We'll add those days onto the forecast as we get a little bit closer to next week. I'll have an update coming up at 11 o'clock.
All right, room for some optimism here. Let's get some more rain. Thanks, Paul.
Well, here's a look at your top headlines. At the White House tonight, President Biden is now promising every American will be able to get a COVID vaccine 2 months earlier than expected.
This country will have enough vaccine supply, I'll say it again, for every adult in America by the end of May.
The president also wants all teachers and school workers to have at least one shot by the end of this month. In Southern California, investigators are looking into what caused a crash that killed 13 people and left several others injured. It happened this morning in El Centro near the Mexican border. Authorities say a big rig hauling gravel slammed into an SUV packed with over 24 people. The vehicle normally seats 8.
The important thing is that 13 people died in this crash. We owe it to the families of those that were killed and injured, as well as the public, to conduct a complete and thorough investigation.
And Ken, no official word on why so many people were packed into that SUV.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Coming up next, why some iconic children's books by Dr. Seuss won't be published anymore.
I think so. This is a good idea.
I think it's wrong.
You know, it's the sign of the times, right?
And the Bay Area city that could decide any minute on an opening date for one of its most picturesque hiking spots. And then later, this weekend, supposed to be exciting for NBA stars. So why is Steph Curry a little less than excited?
It's different. I mean, I could complain about it, but what's that gonna do?
And coming up, all new at 11, a live look from the South Bay, where a new public safety push is underway in response to violent attacks on the Asian community. The plan to stop it at 11. I'll take you up in Chopper 5, capturing a spectacular shot of the sunset behind Sutro Tower a little earlier this evening. Tonight, we are expecting a final decision on access to another of the city's best views from nearby Twin Peaks. The iconic lookout has been mostly off limits to cars since the pandemic began. Tonight, the SFMTA is discussing permanent changes that would keep the Burnett Avenue gate closed while opening up the Portola gate. It's a compromise that creates a much safer path for pedestrians and cyclists who previously had to use the dirt shoulder.
I think it would be a good recreational activity for people for it to be open, at least like maybe to some extent to the public.
There's probably reasons that it'd be nice for people to be able to get up there by car. Like, I know, whatever, my grandma probably wouldn't be able to walk all the way up there, but like, it'd be nice for her to get that view sometimes.
Tonight, some of the most popular children's books are being pulled because of what some are calling racist and insensitive images. After increasing criticism in recent years, 6 Dr. Seuss books will no longer be published, including the book And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. Dr. Seuss Enterprises says they worked with a panel of experts, including educators, and reviewed all of their books. They say they made the decision because the books portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. Some parents had mixed emotions.
I think so. This is a good idea.
I think it's wrong.
You know, it's the sign of the times, right?
If all the images that you see either don't look like you or that have derogatory images of people who look like you get the perspective that you don't really matter, or that your people are ugly, or that they are not smart.
The announcement comes on Read Across America Day, originally created to coincide with the birthday of Dr. Seuss.
Coming up next, it's a sign Steph Curry might really want a couple of days off. The Warriors have 2 more road games left before the All-Star break. That means that everyone will get a little time off, except Steph Curry.
It's different. I mean, I could complain about it, but what's that gonna do?
Well, you win a couple rings. All of a sudden, the All-Star game doesn't seem like Curry and the other All-Stars will fly into Atlanta on Saturday, fly out Sunday night. After the game, Steph will also participate in the 3-point shootout at halftime. And he won that a few years ago.
When you're that good, you're really busy.
Yeah.
So, Eric. Tough problem to have. Thanks for watching. The news continues streaming on CBS and Bay Area.